Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper. Guys, in this video today, I'm going to tell you some information that's going to probably be very helpful to you in your journey in building a tiny house and going off grid, okay? If you follow these tactics that I'm about to share with you, then I promise you that you have a very, very high probability of going off grid and achieving your dreams without the infringement of let me say planning commissions, EPA, the whole 9 yards, just all these garbage drama people that you don't want to have to deal with, okay? So to begin that laundry list, the first thing is the building code situation. Okay, if you live in an area that you're building your house and going to take it to another area, then the only thing you have to worry about is you might possibly have to get a build permit just to build a structure there on your property. I know it's portable, I know you're moving it, but that's the only thing that you may have to do. And don't worry about that part, because if you're taking it to a new place, it's not going to matter anyway, so just foot the tab the one time, okay, to the notorious Uncle Sam. Alright, after that's been achieved, if there's no electrical wiring requirements or anything like that, then you're golden. Alright, you've got this thing in the bag, because all you've got to do at that point is that once your structure's built, there's only 3 things that you have to work around at that point. Number one is transportation. Okay, it's just getting working out to make sure that you're not going to be oversized on the road, and that's really simple. You just account for that in the build time. Not over 8.5 feet wide, 13.6 tall. All right. Most people, when they go to set this thing on their land, they go to set it as a permanent structure. Some places you can't get away with that. Where I'm moving my house in Tennessee, I can, okay? But I had to go counties away to do that, because in Jefferson County, if you didn't see the video me and Randy done together the other day on his YouTube channel, and check the link right there. Now the first 20 minutes of it, he'll take you on a tour of a house, but the last 25 minutes of it's where we talk about off-grid solar, and then also about restrictions and stuff for homes. Just briefly touch on it, and that's kind of what made me think about this to share this with you today as I'm off to work. Is the thing with moving the house itself to the land is that whenever you're moving your house over there, some places will make you get a temporary move tag. And so anyway, guys, with the tag, you may have to get a pull tag to take it over there. But now, as long as some places, the way that they're the best of what I've seen, and looking at some of these situations people's dealt with out in the field, not only that, for customers we've worked for, is that now if you don't do the permanent tag, I'm sorry, not permanent tag, but a permanent structure, locating the structure permanent, like block structure, as long as it's still per se portable, which can just be propped up or anchored up on the corners or something like that, but not completely sealed off to the ground, permanent foundation, then that right there leaves it to where that a lot of these municipalities and stuff like that can't encroach on you. Now, it doesn't exempt everyone. What I'm telling you is just some things, tactics that you can use to get around this stuff, because just like my state, what flies in one county won't fly in another, okay? I mean, just like we were saying, me and Randy the other day was talking, and the guy that lives in the same county as me was going to set his tiny house, and they were going to arrest him. I mean, I've done my research on this stuff. I mean, it's why I had to go counties over to put my home and find a piece of land. And thankfully, by the grace of most, I did find a piece. But anyway, the other thing is the sanitation issue. Me and Nikki has went back and forth on ours, because I wanted to get a septic system put in and do the normal sanitation situation. But as she pointed out to me, because she's been doing her research as well, is that if we do that, you have to have a registered address, post office box address. That's right, what you told me, right? And the permit, right? Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a 911 address. So that's why we ended up going with the compost toilet, which, you know, I'm okay with that, because the temporary one that we put in right now, we can swap over to a flushable compost toilet that goes into one of those churn things out away from the structure, and then later can be literally used for just that compost. So I'm okay with that, because the water pipes that's on the house right now, we can do gray water runoff to our plants and stuff, being that we're going to use you know, products and stuff that are eco-green to the environment per se. So that resolves that, and if you can get away with that, then you're not having to register a 911 address to your land. So your land's just out there in the wild blue yonder, and you haven't had to say anything because your house is on a, you know, per se barn or portable platform. And then you've got the situation with the toilet worked out, and you know, there's so many different compost and toilets that, I mean, like, you can get around all this waste guidelines that, I mean, there's the options are so out there anymore that there's nothing can be said on that. So that resolves those issues. And then lastly, that leaves your power and your water, and those two we've been resolving for a long time for people. Now, my best advice to you on this, and I'll be doing videos about this once that we get ours going, because I'm about there, we're in the finish work right now, is that solar wise, you know, as I was just saying in that video the other day with Randy, that, you know, and we'll be doing a solar video just answering a bunch of questions about solar for people coming up, just specific to tiny houses. But, you know, if you do not moderate it, you're never going to be able to live off grid with tiny house unless you just have a 9 bazillion batteries in a battery bank, which we're going to put our solar in a separate little shed out on the property and then run a wire over to the house from there. But you know, the big thing about it is you need to really minimize your loads. And what I mean by that is like propane, you know, the hot water and stuff. You can do it off solar, but if you don't put that water heater on one of those timer dials or on a switch, that just draws insane amount of power. Same thing with these induction cooktop, stuff like that. If you're going to run, you know, cooktop or something like that, induction's the way to go. And you know, if you can do if you're okay with propane cooking, then that's fine too. That's another way to stop the draw, because heating water and cooking's two of the biggest electrical consumers. And if you can get around that and get outside that box that boxes most people in, because I'm doing propane on our water heating, but our cooking still be electric, then it's just a matter of matching your solar up a decent size at that point, because most people's roof real estate at that point, as long as they moderate it, can cover it as long as they have enough battery backup, because there's times in the day, obviously they're working or they're not using it, that can fill up that deficit. And the other thing is just having that battery status monitor is a good insurance policy. It's like, hey, I'm getting close to 50%, it's not even night time yet, I probably better knock it off. And, you know, having a good transfer switch in the tiny house is a good backup to that as well. And I'll get into more of this stuff in the solar video for tiny house. But if you have your own solar power, then that's the other thing that will cut out needing a 911 address in most situations, because as I learned with Nikki breaking that down to me about the septic, I thought we could just put that out on the land and not have to worry about registering the address. But the same situation applies to most electric utilities and stuff, as far as I can tell. So that, you know, if you can do your off-grid solar, you've got compost and toilet or off-grid sanitation, you know, you've not registered your tiny house with the exception of just a drive-out tag, one-time pull. And if you've done the build permit and you started the structure on a different place, then that place is not registered to the final place where you're going. So you're still in the good. And the only last obstacle, obviously, is your water. And, you know, there's plenty of options for that. You can have a well dug. But now, the only kicker to this is some places make the well be registered. In our state, wells have to be registered. So, the only options you have left on that is a pond. Some states won't let you dig a pond, for example. Washington State, that would be a no-go. Some states don't allow rain catchment. That's a no-go. So, if you're in one of those pinches, you can do like me, which in Tennessee they don't care you catch rainwater. You do have to register a well, but the only situation to really negate both, or all that drama, is to have a spring, a natural spring on your land, or a natural flowing water. Okay, and at that point you can obviously just drop a strainer in there with a pump from that to water storage, or you can have the spring divert into water containment unit, and heck, furthermore, get hydropower from it if you want to. I think we'll be able to do just a little bit of micro hydro based on what I've been able to see so far from tests, but I'm going to worry with that later once we get out there. But that's really, guys, if you can do that, then you don't have to worry about the water situation. And so at that point, you have a house, land, power, water, and sanitation that you never had to register. Nobody knows it exists, yet it does, but yet it doesn't on the paperwork trail. And at the end of the day, you've got freedom. And that's taken a lot of research, to arrive at that conclusion. But I have seen, and there's actually a YouTube video that I'll try to put a link to as well, to somebody that's also successfully achieved that, living off grid in the tiny house world, without any drama. And it's just, I don't know, the last thing I say in this video, and like I said, I'll do the solar thing separate in its own video, but the last thing I'd say to this is, you might be like, why all that trouble? Well, I'll tell you, one day, whether you're a scriptural believer like me and know that people's going to sell their own mother, father, brother, sisters, wives, cousins, you name it, out, friends, relatives, the last thing you want is people to know where you're at. And if you have a place that you can literally just disappear to, that nobody is none the wiser to, and I know that's really hard to pull off, but if you can get, if you can achieve that, then you've got a one and done, that one day if you need to just disappear, you can do it. Now, I know you'll say Uncle Sam can find you, all these things like that. That's very much true. The government has ways of finding people that I'm sure are way beyond most of us basic understanding. But I imagine, in my personal scenario, when the Seven Trumpets Revelation start, the governments of the world and people are going to have so much on their hands just trying to survive, that the worrying about trying to find a man's tiny house out in the middle of Nowheresville, USA, is going to probably be one of the least priorities on their book, hopefully. So guys, I hope that's helped to you. As some in the video description below is some more information about how to properly go about securing some of this stuff without having to deal with the government as limited incursion as possible, because these jokers, they're all about power, and a lot of these people, they let it go to their head, just like this guy in Jeff County. He ain't even a police officer, but he was more than happy to go and get the police to arrest this guy just for having a tiny house on his land. That's not freedom, okay? That's just insanity. That's Nazism, if you ask me. So anyway, till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets channel, check out the info in the video description. The video links I'll post up top. And I hope you have a most blessed day, and Yahushua.